Hello, I am the real-life fake wizard. Today I am going to discuss the ongoing launch of the Nintendo Switch 2, of which it was released yesterday to the public. This console is not without its controversies. I've certainly come to know many of you from my coverage and discussion on these points. But now that we're in day 2 of the Switch 2 being on the market, some things have very clearly come into perspective. Firstly, the pre-orders being sold out in seconds and then remaining sold out for the almost entire duration of the pre-order window was staged. That was a crock of crap. Nintendo and distributors of the Nintendo Switch 2 have very clearly engaged in artificially reducing the amount of consoles available for pre-order. Stores all over the United States have, or had, plenty of consoles readily available for purchase on launch day. So for it to be sold out for all these weeks, but stores were going to have pallets of product on launch day, it makes me say, and contributes to a larger discussion, every single thing that Nintendo is doing and has done is manipulative marketing. It's all marketing. Doing things and saying things in certain ways to invoke emotional responses. I live in a prominent city on the East Coast of the United States. It wasn't until late last night and early this morning that I started seeing my local stores stocking out. I've spoken with other individuals all over the country, and they have similar stories. Switch 2s took a lot longer to start selling out than we were led to believe. In fact, there are plenty of stores around the country that still have Switch 2s available for purchase right now. Yes, this is circumstantial. Yes, the Mario Kart bundle might be super sold out in your area, and yes, none of it changes the fact that there are lots of people who want the system, but do not yet have it, and anything can happen. As this video posts publicly, it could sell out across the world at the snap of my fingers. Maybe I do have magic. But something really dawned on me as I was seeing all the package acquired posts from all the Nintendo customers on Twitter. There is very clearly a particular clientele of people who are buying the Nintendo Switch 2 right now. And if you're part of these groups, you might be part of the problem. Welcome to The Pondering. I am the real-life fake wizard. I'm a business owner working with lots of small businesses up and down the East Coast. I'm speaking to this with an educated background in business and marketing, as well as working through corporate America across the last decade. If this video brings you any value at all, I invite you to subscribe to this channel where we're covering the entertainment industry all the time. Let's get this out of the way. There are 3 types of people buying the Switch 2 right now, contributing to Nintendo's gambit. The first is content creators, obviously. Gaming creators need to have first dibs on the consoles so they can keep making that sweet content. Normally, I don't have a problem with this. Content creators are the first line of defense saving you money. If you're interested in something like Dragon Age Veilguard, it helps to see a content creator experience that game for themselves, so you can see if it's worth the $70 investment for you. However, in this case, I don't think creators deserve that pass. The only real game worth featuring on the Switch 2 is Mario Kart World, and let's not pretend that it's anything really new here. In fact, most Nintendo games, while entertaining, are usually the same exact thing as the previous installment with a fresh coat of yellow paint. Are there creators who bought this just for content coverage? Yes. Is that the majority? No. And that brings us into Group 2. Don't take this the wrong way. I wouldn't want to offend, but Group 2 is the actual majority of people buying the Switch 2. I would speculate that this category consists of 70% of all the current Switch 2 buyers to date. And that is neckbeards. Yes, I said the neckbeards. The aggressively emotionally attached fanboys. The guys and gals that look like soy jacks, and when you criticize Nintendo for its predatory practices, these folks put a curse on you and 7 generations of your bloodline. And look, I'm not here to bully people. Like, that's not the point at all. As someone who works in marketing and studies business, I'm fascinated with understanding what makes people buy things. Here, as an example, when you're shopping, whether it be Amazon or in the grocery store, as you're scanning everything, and just before you swipe your credit card, I want you to consider, what did they do to convince me to buy this? This particular item, a lot of it's emotions. A lot of your buying habits, whether you want to admit it or not, is entirely impulse. Lots of the crap we buy on Amazon we could do without, but Our emotions are high, dopamine is kicking, and companies play on impulse control to get us to buy things. And so seeing all these photos of the long lines at the midnight releases, you see a very clear class of character, very clear distinctions. Neckbeards, baggy t-shirts, unwashed hair, likely born in the 90s, and most importantly, they are die-hard Nintendo fans. These are the people who don't care that they're buying Breath of the Wild for the third time, nor do they care they'll need to buy the DLC again, nor do they care that they already spent 400 hours playing it the first time. They're going to spend another 400 hours again now. In a few minutes, I'm going to actually talk about why I believe Nintendo released the console at this time, for this price, and with this lineup of games. And I fully believe it has everything to do with knowing that the neckbeard category here was going to buy it with unwavering, unquestioning loyalty. But before that, what's the third category? Well, the third category is what I wish was harmless, because it's the category that matters most of all. And that is parents with their children. These are the people who don't keep up with all the intricacies of the industry. They're not watching videos like this, and if they are, shout out to you. Because most parents just want to play games with their kids, and they wanted to share the experience of a midnight release or a launch day purchase of getting a Nintendo console with their kids. I wish I could say this was entirely innocent, and you should be able to do something fun like this very freely. But these parents likely, unknowingly, are contributing to the problem of feeding the Nintendo greed machine, playing into exactly what Nintendo wants, which will result in long-term negative effects for the rest of the buying population, as increased predatory prices will be legitimized. So these are your three groups, folks. Are there minor segments inside of that? Sure, and I'm sure I'll hear from some of you in the comments about it, but from the broad macro, you're looking at parents and kids, content creators, and neckbeards. And all three of those people fell for this trap. Well, Wizard, it sounds like you're being judgmental of these people. Well, maybe a little. I've made lots of videos explaining that this console and pricing strategy is bad for the overall video game marketplace. I don't care so much for the console pricing, though $500 is a lot of money. I care more about the pricing on games. $80 video games is ridiculous. And that's just the United States. Games are upwards of $120 in other countries, just with whatever their currency is. So yeah, pish posh, gaming is expensive. Yeah, it's expensive, but I want the value to back my dollar investment, and I don't believe modern day gaming does. $80 for Empty World Mario Kart is disgusting. I'm still on Mario Kart Wii myself. Shit, I'm playing Walt Disney World Quest Magical Racing Tour right now. I don't need a new Mario Kart. The games are all the same thing. It's just slightly nicer to look at. The point is, and always has been, the video game industry desperately wants to see the Switch 2 kick ass. PlayStation and Xbox both want to see the Switch 2 succeed. Not because of console prices, but because of game prices. It's always been about the game prices. That's what matters most. If $80 for Mario Kart succeeds, all games will bump up to $80. And that's not a good thing. And of these people buying the console, when you point out the fact that, hey, what Nintendo is doing is a terrible thing and will have long-term ramifications, lots of them run stupid defense. Like, so stupid, their arguments fall apart instantly. And I'm losing the willpower to be kind in response to it. Oh, you're just mad that Nintendo raised prices first? Whoever did it first doesn't matter. They're all bad guys. All the corporations are bad guys. That point is irrelevant. It's inflation. No, it's not. All of that is just made up numbers. That's all baloney. Because if it were true to actual inflation, things would have been a lot more expensive than just $80. Also, the perception of the item's value has decreased. So even if inflation was to be a factor, the value that buyers put on games now is substantially lower than what the inflation rate would be. Look at the AAA games that keep failing, like colossally failing. And they're going for full price. Inflation means nothing when the market's actions dictate success or failure. anyone still using the inflation argument is playing into exactly what the corporations want you to believe. Oh, yes. Tell them it's inflation. Yes. Write that down. Write that down. You know, here's a massive tangent, but important. You know, the world used to operate with the market buyers in control? Like, you, as a customer, used to have so much more power than you do today. Companies sell things, and if people don't buy those things, the companies fail. Well, after the success of the entertainment industry from the 1990s through about 2015, the dynamic flipped around. Companies believe they control the relationship with their buyers now. Whereas buyers used to have a real voice on what products and services are made based on what they're willing to buy, now companies think that not only can they belittle you for rejecting their products, they believe you owe them just for the sake of they made things. Even if those things are made to insult you, go against what you believe in, or take advantage of you. But back to Nintendo here. Why would Nintendo put a console out at the beginning of the summer with such a non-important lineup? Why is it just Mario Kart? Why isn't there anything else? Well, as of right now, we don't have a release date for Metroid. Donkey Kong isn't until the middle of July. Pokemon isn't coming out until October. So why is there such a staggered release of games to match with the console? I believe it's specifically because of the 30-year-old plus neckbeards that they want to get out of the way. Switch 2 launches on June 5th. Donkey Kong doesn't come out until July 17th. That's a little over a month for stores to get at least 1 or 2 more shipments of consoles. And then they'll all sell out again on the Donkey Kong release date. So at this point, we've put the console in the hands of the types of loyal fans that are the reason there are smell warfare rules in Magic the Gathering competitions. And anyone who missed the initial launch will pick up the console when Donkey Kong drops. And if people miss it again, they'll buy it when Metroid drops. And that takes us into Pokemon, which specifically comes out in October and not November when, oh, what's that? The holiday shopping season happens? Nintendo's lineup of games is staggered to satisfy the type of fans that would be buying the console for a specific reason at that specific time. There are plenty of people who play Mario Kart and don't play Pokemon. There are plenty of people who play Pokemon but don't play Mario Kart. So by putting the games out and consoles out in this way, released in this order, it is practically guaranteeing financial success. You may not need it right now, but when that Pokemon game drops, it's going to be hard to get your hands on a console. Nintendo is deviously smart, wickedly in tune with who they're selling to. Nintendo holds back on content to sell it back to you later. They're staggering the game launch to draw in sold-out taglines to tell their shareholders at specific times, which then makes this console launch a massive success, which then makes the $80 game prices legitimate. Talk about holding content back. Take a look at this. So the day one patch came out yesterday for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and based on what it was, which upscaled the FPS and made the game slightly more playable but still ugly, that patch was leaked in 2023, which means that they had the power to unlock that game's frame rate for years, but held off to make the Switch 2's launch seem like you're getting the complete version of this almost 3-year-old game. Here's another one. The upcoming Pokemon Legends ZA game gets a Switch 1 and a Switch 2 edition. That second edition comes at the additional cost of $10. But people are already catching that this upgrade pack's memory size is only 1 megabyte. What that means is that the installation of the game has all the features that cost $10 more on the Switch 2 in its memory. But you're buying the 1 megabyte JavaScript to unlock those features on the Switch 2 console. This is like the final boss of Horse DLC. Content is now shipping with day one DLC that's padlocked inside the game's code. That's wild. And worse, this is FPS updates. Well, Wizard, what does this have to do with the 3 groups of people you presented before, Everything. It has everything to do with them. As they said in Mike Myers' Cat in the Hat, which is a classic, it's fun to have fun, but you have to know how. I love playing games. I like Nintendo stuff. I think Fire Emblem is one of the best franchises ever. I loved Pokemon almost my entire life, and I may love the properties and Pikachus and all that, and that's fine. But that doesn't mean I should refrain from questioning the company that makes these things. I've already explained, Nintendo is making a calculated gambit here. They're making a play to jack up the prices of gaming permanently. But it's also only ever going to keep going up. Games are $80 now, but they'll push to $90 and then to $100. And you really want to pay that? You shouldn't want to pay that. And the only way to fight those prices is to fight back with your wallet. And the neckbeards, who were entirely incapable of taking a breather and waiting a moment, bought thousands of consoles. There are thousands of consoles in play right now, and Nintendo gets to report to the world that the Switch 2 is a success. If you bought the Nintendo Switch 2, $80 video games are your fault. So I hope it was worth it. Until next time, create, innovate, inspire, and for the love of God, cancel Disney Plus. And don't buy the Switch 2 yet. Give it till 2026. Hold your breath, hold your horses. This launch needs to fail. It still can, but it's up to you. Don't buy the Switch 2. Okay, goodbye.